I'm Caitlin and welcome to the Lit Review. Today we're doing something a little different. I am going to be attempting to do my makeup inspired by a book cover. And specifically, we'll be looking at Renée Ahdieh's The Wrath and the Dawn. I read this back in March. I really love this book, and I've been wanting to do something else with it ever since. And I also think it has just like this really gorgeous, color-saturated book cover, and we're gonna try to, put these colors and concepts on the face today. So even though this book has a face in it, I'm not gonna be trying to replicate this person's face. What I am going to take from it is the colors, the fact that her skin, the model's skin looks like really dewy and glowy, so I'll take some of that. And she looks like she's contoured, so we're gonna try to do that. And we'll see what happens. I would not say that this is gonna be a look that you could go to the grocery store in, but hey, nobody's going to the grocery store much unless it's an emergency anyway, so it's fine. We're gonna give this a go, and I just want to say as like a disclaimer, I like makeup, but I am not a makeup artist. Don't come for me if this looks weird. But it's all about having fun, and I'll be talking a little bit about my thoughts of the book, and it'll be spoiler free, but I just really love this and wanted to keep talking about it. So that's how I'm justifying slathering shiny things all over my face today. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is a much closer view that you normally have on my face, which is only slightly horrifying, but I'm gonna get started, and I like to start with my eyes, especially if I do something like super dramatic, like I'm planning to, because maybe you can see the cover a little bit better from up here. Like, it's got the gold foil, and like these really gorgeous, like crimson, like bright red, and then like some more deep colors that are shading. So those are the kind of the color palette. I'm also going to be pulling from this really pretty turquoise and the gold. So those are kind of like my main color inspirations, which is going to lead to something a little wild and crazy here. But one of the reasons I'm going to pull out primer. I've been going through my little Smashbox 24-hour primer for my eyes. And one of the things I really wanted to do with this little adventure in makeup here is I thought it was really perfect to use The Wrath and the Dawn because it is such a beautifully written novel, and Ahdieh as an author spends some time talking about Scheherazad's clothing a lot, and it's just one of those little details that the part of me that grew up as a reader loving historical fiction and the way that certain authors, particularly some romance authors who do historical fiction like Bertree Small, would just spend so much time describing gowns and things like that. And so there were details in The Wrath and the Dawn that made me feel the same way, where she would describe like the amethyst belt that Scheherazade was wearing that day. And I just loved that kind of detail. I know for some people that could come off as like a little fussy, but I was there for it. So I'm gonna, I think, lay down a base of like dark red, and I want to do kind of like a halo eye. Again, I'm not a pro. I just watch a lot of YouTube videos to learn how to do makeup, but I'm gonna take my Huda Beauty, the Ruby Obsessions palette, which looks like this, and I think I'm gonna take maybe some of this like really dark matte shade and kind of just go in the inner corner, and then maybe this more light orangey red shade in the crease. This could be a big disaster. I'm very concerned, but we're gonna see what happens. So let me back up for a second and tell you a rough synopsis of The Wrath and the Dawn. Also, I apologize if like whatever I'm using as a mirror comes into frame, but I gotta see what I'm doing. The Wrath and the Dawn is basically a really dynamic, I would say dynamic is an important word here, but it's a really gorgeous retelling of 1001 Nights, where we have Scheherazade, who is a young woman in a kingdom who has had a bunch of its young ladies killed after being married to their leader, who is, I believe you'd pronounce it Caliph? have a lot to learn about pronunciation and culture. So like if you feel compelled to correct me, like please do, because I'm open for that. But the king, the caliph his name is Khalid. So I'm just going to keep calling him Khalid because I think the words sound a little too similar, at least the way I'm currently pronouncing them. But he is a young king, and he has basically killed his brides for the last several months, including Scheherazade's like best friend. And so she decides that she will volunteer herself to wed the king in order to get vengeance for her friend. And so that is like the initial twist on the original myth and retelling. And then you end up getting like a bunch of different perspectives from both. I think you get Khalid's perspective eventually. You're mostly in Scheherazade's head in this book, but you are also in her father's perspective. You are in another young man named Tariq. I'm not, again, pronunciation is kind of left to your own devices. If somebody has the correct one, please let me know. And Tariq is basically her Scheherazade's first love. So there's like some love triangle drama already. I love it. And it is so well written. Like, I know I'm kind of distracted and fumbling with my words because I'm trying to like put makeup on, and I don't normally try to talk when I put makeup on, so this is an interesting experience. But it is really good. All of the voices sound very different. You get to know like some of the interpersonal history, as well as, you know, their motivations for things as the story progresses. And it really develops beautifully. Not at all like this very red eye look that I've smeared all over my face. So, so I really enjoyed that book for like just the reading perspective. I felt like it had the right amount of tension. I'm gonna go back and try to even out the crease a little bit. When I do my makeup, I always end up doing more on this eye, and I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. Like why my brain wants one to be more dramatic than the other. So this was my first Renée Ahdieh book overall, and I really loved it. I can't wait to read the sequel to this little duology, The Rose and the Dagger, because I'm gonna do my damnedest not to spoil anything for you, but the book does end on a cliffhanger, and I was just like, I need more. And since I'm on a no-buy, I can't really do anything about that for the time being, which is a little frustrating, just a little bit. So I'm really just kind of doing this video because I think it's a fun video, but also because I'm jonesing for more content on this that I can't totally justify. That book has already gone on my my personal wish list for my book depository, and I'm gonna unleash the beast as soon as I win Litland. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the center here with another bright red shade. I'm not really sure if you can see any of the depth that I tried to add to the crease. If not, I can always go back and add some more later. But I'm gonna be using Sephora's Colorful Metal Effect. It's really pretty red. This is in the shade Burgundy Gang. And I like to use this one with my fingers because it's got like a really interesting texture to it. And I think it just flat out does better with the pad of your finger. But it's gonna be a lot of red. And so far it's just looking like a very blobby red situation. So I'm gonna see if I can try to fix that. If not, you know what? If this makeup look turns out horribly, that's okay. There's still entertainment value in that. If I've learned anything from the internet, it's that me screwing up is just as valuable as me doing really well at this. So I really just was drawn in by Scheherazade's character. Like, you understand so very clearly with her how important like her friendships are and her family is, and like that she's still making this choice regardless, which I thought was like really it's not that you agree with her, it's not that you think she's doing the right thing, but it is that you just understand. You get why she wants to do what she's doing. And one thing, if I had to give kind of criticism, part of what kept The Wrath in the Dawn from being like a full-blown 5-star for me was that I just didn't get because she, like, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that Scheherazade and Khalid, as they start to get to know one another, her original quest for vengeance gets complicated. She starts to be intrigued by him, potentially start to fall for him, and she's not happy about that turn of events, but she can't kind of deny it either. And I wish that we, as like just readers, as the audience, had gotten a little bit more, like, I don't want to say that there wasn't any growth or development in that way, because that's unjust to what ends up happening, but like I needed more. I feel it's not like one of those situations where she goes from hating the guy to loving him instantly, but it is one of those, like, I feel like I missed a step. Like, did I lose a chapter? Like, it happened a little too quickly for me, and I wanted more to understand her conflict, because some of it, like, I'm not gonna lie, this part is a bit spoilery, so tune out if you don't want it. But I felt like part of what ends up happening for her is that, like, she thinks he's hot. Like, they have good chemistry, and like when they make out, she enjoys it. And I think that's like most of the stuff that you get in her head when she's like, I don't totally hate him. He's not the worst. It's like, I get it, you know? You're attracted to the dude. But like, maybe give me some more information. Just a little. I'm so sorry, this is gonna be like the longest video because I'm trying to talk while I do something that like normally takes me a flippin' hour. Alright, and then next I'm gonna add a little bit of gold because it's like a very dense red eye right now, and I always feel like my eyes look ridiculous until I'm done. But I'm gonna take another Sephora Metallic Effect shadow. This one's in the shade To the Moon and Back. Which again, the cover is like really, really pretty. How often do you feel drawn in by covers? Because I know it's not like the end-all be-all when it comes to successful reading experiences or even grabbing me completely, but it is impactful. Like, I am a sucker for a good cover. I feel like if you've watched many of my videos, then you know I mentioned covers and things like sprayed edges and foil. Like, I'm a bit of a magpie. And so if you give me something shiny, I'm probably gonna be interested. All right, I'm gonna come back to the eyes because I want to do some stuff underneath as well. But I gotta do my face. So because this, the model, again, referencing the cover but not totally trying to replicate it, I hope you can see like the model's skin for this cover just looks like very dewy, very glowy. So I'm gonna mix, I'm a big makeup junkie. I really love makeup, and I watch a lot of like beauty YouTube as well. And so I've been actually inspired by a lot of the creators over there have been trying to like project pan a lot of my my makeup, which basically just means use what you got. It's very much part of my life right now. I've been doing that with my books, as you know, with my TBR game. But so this is in my project pan right now. This is my Glossier Priming Moisturizer. And I just do stuff like that for myself for fun. Like, I'm not doing it because I want to start a beauty channel or anything like that. I just enjoy it. I enjoy participating in things. I'm gonna take the ring off. And then I'm also gonna add, because of her glowy skin, I have a little sample of MAC Strobe Cream. So I'm gonna mix those two together to do a very dewy primer situation. And then I think I'm gonna do concealer first because I'm tired and you can tell. I don't normally, this is like Tarte Shape Tape is not my normal go-to concealer, but I do think it's a good one for when you want to take photos and do stuff like this, where you want like more dramatic results, because it's very thick. And I'm not normally this inclined to do work on my under eyes. What? Tired? Me? No. And then I'm gonna go in and kind of conceal different areas around my face too, because I don't know about you all, but my skin under quarantine, under self-isolation, you'd think it would be doing better because I'm not doing as much nonsense to it. I'm also not going out in the sun as much, and I'm totally drinking more water than I normally am. But you know what else I'm not factoring in when I think about all of those things? Stress. Stress is, you know, making my skin nuts. So that has definitely been frustrating, because it's just like, I think sometimes, like when I was a teenager, I was pretty convinced that like after I finished whatever torrential acne hell of puberty, that I just wouldn't have to deal with it anymore as an adult. Lies. But getting back to the book, I think The Wrath and the Dawn was one of my, probably it's going to end up on one of my favorite reads for the year. I mean, it's going to take, I know we're just in May as I'm filming this, but like, I can't stop thinking about this book. I just really enjoyed it. It hit a lot of like personal notes that I as a reader really love and value. Like I mentioned, even something really small like the discussion of clothing, and like the way that was offered with care but wasn't overdone. Like she didn't spend too much time, Ahdieh didn't spend too much time on that as an author, but like I love details like that. And then I love the multi-perspective stuff. I really love retellings and anything to do with mythology. And then I really don't know if I would classify myself as somebody that lives for an enemies to lovers trope, but lately it seems to be kind of working for me, so I'm not going to question it too much. I wouldn't say it's like one of my definitive things, but it's definitely there. And then for foundation, I'm going to use Wander Beauty's Nude Illusion Liquid Foundation in Fair. I am not a huge fan of this foundation, but I think it looks really good on camera, so I've been using it a lot on camera because it works. It works for me. And it also, I think, whatever the nude illusion of it all, it really contributes to that glowy look we're going for. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, I see Wrath in the Dawn as being one of those favorites of the year for me. Like, I really loved the characters. It hit a lot of the tropes, as I was saying, or the things that I like in books and in YA. And I just really enjoyed Scheherazade. And I also, you know what, importantly enough for me, you see in ratio, like, of the four main perspectives you get in this book, you get 3 male perspectives and 1 female perspective. And you are in the female perspective so much more than you are in the male perspective. But because it's mostly from Scheherazade's POV. I really like the way the men in Scheherazade's life think about her. Like, even if some of it is, you know, you understand it to be like momentarily problematic, of like, for example, her dad thinking that she is too vulnerable to be put in the situation. You know that that's more about him as a character flaw, and he like comes to figure it out. But also just like in general, the way men think about her, or we're allowed to see men think about her, it isn't overly objectified. She's always seen as like capable, and even in her vulnerabilities, it's really obvious that the person whose head we're in sees strength as well. So I don't know, I thought that was really well done, and I really, really liked how that went. Okay, so I already feel so much better having like some sense of a base down on my face. Okay, so now comes the part that I'm probably most nervous for, which is contouring. I don't do it very often. Mostly because I'm very fair and I just think it looks weird on me, or maybe I'm not. The reality is I'm probably not doing it very well. As evidenced by what I'm gonna use to contour, which is a single eyeshadow from NYX. It is a single eyeshadow, and it is also in my project pan. You can see that I've hit a little bit of pan. And it is Velvet. It is a really nice brown shade that I also like to use on my eyes a lot. I'm just gonna use a little brush here and, you know, pray for the best because I don't know what I'm doing. Ooh, that looks bad on camera. Okay, we're getting there. I'm not gonna try to contour my nose because I'm not a magician, so we're gonna move on. And then for blush, it doesn't look like in the photo that there's a lot of, like, the definition comes from shade and light as opposed to like color difference. So I'm gonna take that cue as well and just use a really like nude for me blush. So this is Tarte's Party. Just gonna do kind of the apple of my cheek. Do a little flush, but not too much. But I'm gonna do some highlighting, which I feel really weird about because I don't normally highlight with what I'm about to use. But it is ColourPop's Super Shock Cheek in Wisp. And I'm just gonna take the little butt of my beauty blender, because this is a cream. I actually really like doing this with creams, where it's like here, and then I'm just gonna dab it and pat it into the skin this way. Because I think for my skin texture and tone, like doing it this way leads to a much more natural finish for me, whereas like if I try to use powder, I end up looking like there's just a stripe. And I don't. We're gonna go really heavy with the highlighter because again, the cover of this book is like super glowy, and just like very very decadent looking, and gold is definitely one of the accent colors. So I'm just gonna maybe lay this on thicker than I normally would in an attempt to mirror that from the cover. I'm very curious about you all as readers. What was the last book that just like got into your head? And even if it wasn't like your perfect read, if it wasn't like a 5-star read, what is the last book that like consumed you? I wouldn't even say that The Wrath and the Dawn is the last book that did this to me. As you all know, I got emotionally wrecked by Sarah J. Maas's Crescent City. Which I'm not ashamed, I'm not afraid of that. But this book really took me by surprise. Wrath and the Dawn totally took me by surprise in a way that I really loved. And just, I want more books like that in my life. If you have any recommendations for me, books that did something similar, or, you know, books that you think just like went the extra mile in a retelling way or a storytelling way in general, I would be very appreciative of recommendations. I honestly, this book made me want to read more Renée Ahdieh. I already own, back here, I think it's The Flame in the Mist, this little blue one I'm pointing to right here. That is on my TBR, and I am hoping to get to that sometime soon. For better or worse, I'm going to put some of this highlighter all over my lips too, because gold just seems important. I'm gonna do some of this edging. Again, we're not going for realism. I really just want to read more of her work. I'm really excited. I also own The Beautiful. It's out on a different shelf. It's in my living room shelves. But I'm really excited to read that too. And then she's got the sequel to that, I think The Damned, coming out. And I want to check that out too. Okay, so I think I'm gonna set my face and then, no, maybe I should finish my eyes. I'm gonna start pulling in some colors that mimic this like teal gradient, which is just around the edges here. But I think, again, in the name of boldness, I think we're gonna go under the eye with the teal and then add some gold around the eyes too. But it's shaping up. I feel a little less strange. This is a Wet n Wild multi-stick in the color Not So Calm Waters. So I'm just gonna kind of liberally bring that up like that. And I think I will do some smudging. And then I'm gonna add some more color to like set this because it is very creamy. So I'm using, this is my Urban Decay After Dark palette. And I just dropped the brush, but that's fine. And I'm gonna take this color Fringe and go in with that same little pencil brush and just kind of tap that along. So it'll deepen it a little bit because Fringe is much more of a deep teal, and I'm just, again, trying to get that gradient in the same way that it is on the cover. I look very silly, but that's okay. Let's see if I can clean up a little bit of the edges here. Okay, I think that's helping a little bit. Okay, so I am going to put some translucent powder on my face. This is just one I have from IT Cosmetics. And then I'm gonna finish with my, like, doing my eyebrows and my lips and putting on some mascara. Okay, so I'm gonna do something a little different for my lips, or at least I'm going to attempt it. We'll see how it actually works. So I already had like all of that highlighter kind of golden glow here. And I'm gonna take a like red-orange lipstick. And this is actually from ColourPop during their Villains collection. This is their Cruella shade. And so I'm gonna kind of try to do like a blurred, blotted lip because I think that could be kind of interesting, even though clearly the eyes are the extra drama in this situation. And then I'm going to take a gold lip gloss, the one I have. You could really use anything if you wanted to, but I just have Steela's Golden Parachute handy, so I'm gonna do that because it's a really like subtle, has a little bit of a slip to it, but isn't that like sticky. Alright, that's it. This is the final look. I ended up doing some artsy stuff to my hair and putting in some earrings that I thought were kind of like thematically appropriate because the cover, she's got like some fancy earrings and decorations there. So yeah, how did I do? Am I sufficiently inspired by the cover, hopefully? Oh, one of these. I think in person it looks like a little bit more 80s inspired. Maybe it's also how I did my hair for this, but like it looks a little bit more 80s inspired than I was maybe consciously going for. But I like how it turned out, you know, I can see the connections, at least in the colors. Let me know if you enjoyed this process. I certainly did. I think it was a fun way to talk more about a book that I really enjoyed. I won't call it a full review because I'm not sure I did a full review. I did my best to avoid major spoilers. So this was a lot of fun. I would happily do this again. Let me know if you think I should, or if there's a particular book you'd like to see me tackle next. As we know, I'm a sucker for a cover. And yeah, this was just a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed getting to talk more about a book that I loved from a couple of months ago, The Wrath and the Dawn by Renée Ahdieh. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you want to know more about me on this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!